do difficult and dangerous work. The special challenges they face calls for a special individual. Major Timothy Miller, commander of the unit, has done this work for over 30 years.
I started in 1985, working undercover, going to ballrooms on the West Bank of Jefferson Parish. Just meeting people. I was not from here. I'm from a small town in the middle of Louisiana. And I would go out and just meet people. Just go out in the bar, socialize, find out which people were selling drugs and try to buy drugs from them. And I did that for about 9 months. And after that was complete, they arrested everybody I bought from, and then I was actually placed in a group in narcotics waiting on the next academy. When I graduated from the academy, the commander at the time offered me a position to stay in narcotics because of the work that I'd been doing. And this is what I wanted to do when I got involved in law enforcement. My law enforcement career actually started, I was a radio operator with the state police in Monroe. And from there I went to Baton Rouge and worked in the radio room at headquarters for the state police. And you know, given the opportunity to get an inside look at law enforcement, this is what I wanted to do. I met a guy, he was a trooper from Monroe that worked in narcotics. We became really good friends. He got permission from the troop commander up there to bring me out with him on some nights, and they work kind of in a lone wolf type capacity. They're undercover guys. They go out in the bars and try to meet people, and it's like, this is what I want to do.
Let me just interrupt for a second. You've been in narcotics for 30-some years?
Yes, sir.
That is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I mean, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's got to be wearing on the nervous system. How can you survive?
I never really thought about it. I mean, you know, I don't. When I worked early in my career, you know, work was all I was concerned with. You know, just, you know, whether I was actually getting paid to work or not being paid to work. 24 hours a day. This is all I thought about, was trying to how to further cases and get into people or to do things, and that really never changed until I had my first child.
Yeah.
And right, and you know, then you start separating work from home, and at that front door, I would leave it. A story I've told some friends that aren't involved in law enforcement, that, you know, you can be involved in a high-risk situation, you know, at work. You come home and your wife tells you, look, can you fold the towels? And that's exactly what I do. I smile and say, yes, I can. And I will fold the towels.
What kind of person does it take to do this job for any period of time, let alone for a long period of time?
Well, I mean, some guys and girls, you know, love this job, you know, and they love what we do. It's an entirely different animal as it relates to law enforcement. You know, because of the, you know, it's proactive work. The elements to reach the an arrestable offense, you know, to define a crime, are the same. Whether you're in a patrol division, you're in a reactive unit, or if you're in a proactive unit. I mean, there's certain criteria you got to meet, and that's fine. But getting from point A to point B for us is a little different, because we walk that, like I said, there's certain parameters that we got to stay within to get to where we want to go, to make sure that everything is done right, no rights are violated, all the bases are covered, and it's a little different for the narcotics guys, because you're using informants, you're using undercover officers. There's a risk factor built in, and we try to minimize the risk as much as possible. And the longer you stay, or if you're working with people that have been there a while, they understand that risk reduction.
But I would imagine someone who's an adrenaline junkie would not be a good fit. No, because it's like I said, the risk factor is too high. We can't. I mean, there are adrenaline rushes, you know, that occur when you're going through, you know, someone's door uninvited, you know, with a search warrant. There is a certain level of adrenaline, but everybody is concentrating on safety, and not just for the team,
but for the people in the house, because you don't want anything bad to happen to anybody whenever we do these things.
Yeah, no, adrenaline has its purpose, but I have known people not in law enforcement, it was actually in sports, and once they got that adrenaline going, they were addicted, and they were, I didn't trust them. I didn't want to be anywhere around them. But I suppose by the nature of your work, we're not going to ask you about any cases, because I imagine everything is pretty confidential.
Yeah, because we work in a covert capacity. We try to maintain the integrity of the case by keeping everything confidential. It's important to us because once if it's not, then you're raising a risk factor on our cases. Not just the integrity of the case, but the officers involved, especially if you have an undercover involved in those cases.
The JPSO is determined to keep this parish a safe place to live, work, and raise a family by combating illegal drug use and the abuse of prescription medication through a very active narcotics division in its Special Investigations Bureau. If you have information